The Green Tide is here, and we're all doomed. Hi, I'm Jubilee, Titan of Joy, and this is my first encounter with the Orks. So the Orks got the most recent Codex to drop in Warhammer 40k, and that was the internet's official reaction. We're all doomed! Up till now, most of the codices, yes, I went to college, but most of the codices have scaled back armies a little, but given them more options. But it doesn't look like the Orks have done that. They're very scary on paper. And I got to face my first Ork army today. My opponent was playing the Big Hunt. This is an army that focuses a lot on squig boys, squig riders, squig hogs, and their rules allow them to pick one object and get lots of bonuses against that one. I think it was limited to monsters and vehicles, and then characters if none of those are options. And my list has a lot of vehicles and a lot of characters. I was playing my Sisters of Battle, and I have a pretty retooled list. I've taken a good part of my army out and replaced it with some more units that I want to try out. And my initial reaction is Melta-Guns are awesome. Yes, I knew they were always good, but now I've got a lot of Meltas. My opponent's list had some pretty standard Ork units, including Gaz with a unit of Mega Knobs and one of the Killer Rigs, and just a gigantic, horrible unit of Squig Riders. And due to a very nice advanced roll, that big unit of Squig Riders got into my backfield. See this big hole right here? Yeah, that's where my tank used to be. There's a weird series of moves that I have with the Emulator tank and the squads jumping in and out of it. That is kind of one of my opening moves, and he got to it and blew it up, and I kind of thought I was in trouble then. But I was able to fall out of the vehicle and keep lots of units just far enough back that they weren't going to be completely doomed. He had a very fast, very aggressive first turn. He put that Killer Rig in the center. He put the behind the unit of Squig Hogs that ran into my backfield. There was a unit of Gretchen on a point, and of course their Lord and Savior Gazgul Thraka came on a point too. So I was like, I'm not gonna knock any of these things off the points. I have to deal with the stuff in my backfield, and he's going to absolutely smoke me on primary at the beginning of turn 2. I also did a really foolish deployment, and this poor little tank right here could be seen by everything on his board. Yes, Castigator tank, you're being punished for being bad at Overwatch. So I get crumped pretty bad, but my first turn secondaries is quite good. This is before the shooting took place, but these two units in melee with this were able to fall back, and there were some more things attached to it. But because of just them actually destroying so many models that they weren't really able to consolidate in the most efficient way to keep me all tied up in combat, I had some very effective next round shooting. I had something like 15 to 20 Melta shots going into models that had 3 or more wounds. Now the Melta shot is a random d6 damage, but once it gets through, it does a really effective job of taking down these high wound models. And granted, this is a big part of my army is committed in this little corner. This rune right here is crammed in the bottom right corner of the battlefield. But we clear out that big unit, we take out a couple of characters and some Gretchen that were sitting on a point and start moving up. I think my opponent got a little bit of the bloodlust because this gigantic truck turned around to shoot at something more important and threw a couple of shots into this unit too, which is just, at this point, is only 4 sisters. And they're not even good sisters, they literally all have bolters, they're just a little screening unit. And he was able to take it down to the one sister you see there towing right onto the point, and then the unit charged off to destroy a more important unit. So I got this point, and then somewhere else I was moving on to another point, and then Gaz was still on the other one, and then started to pressure my corner there. You can see here, Gaz charged down and got into that unit of sisters and was just completely ripping them up. But when sisters units get damaged even a little bit, they start to hit better. And when they get really damaged, they hit and wound better. So I had all these kind of scraps left over of units that were all doing really effective shooting. The remains of these sisters were able to fall back and throw a grenade in order to take out Gaz's bodyguard unit, which makes him really hard to take down at first. And then I don't have a picture of it, but in the bottom right corner here, Morven Vol and her whole unit was able to tow in just 9 inches away and unload all of their terrible Melta cannons at Gaz. And I didn't realize that Gaz was actually not that tough once you got through all of his bodyguards. So yeah, he had like 6 wounds, and I think I did 18 damage to him, so he was gone. So we'd wipe the Squig Hogs, we'd wipe Gaz. This unit was right here, and he didn't have any reserve. But Morvenval came in somewhere. I had some Seraphim steal a point from back there. My Calidus Assassin, and God, I wish I had a picture of this, got very lucky because one of their really fast units zipped into their backfield where I had hidden the Calidus Assassin to score some points and unloaded all the guns and did manage to take her out. And then he charged and failed the charge, so he command point rerolls, which I vected, which made it cost more CP points, and then tried to charge again and did fail. And then at the end of the turn, the Calidus was able to go back up into Deep Strike. And then he just decided to concede, and I looked through what other missions I would be able to get. So I looked at the state of the board. Without any other units, there's not really a way for him to stop me from scoring all of my primary every turn, and basically every secondary that I would draw. I did end up maxing out my points at 100 to, I think it was 30. I think a big part of the big hunt that was not as effective against my army is I didn't have any one linchpin piece, at least not one that started on the board. Because I think if they had been able to do the big hunt on Morvenval's unit, I would have been in a lot of trouble, because that's where a big chunk of my firepower comes from. You know, I don't have Primarchs, I don't have Land Raiders or Monoliths that are a really good option to be... I think the Big Hunt allows them to reroll all hits, and then they have lots of stratagems that just compound the extra damage and extra abilities towards taking that big thing down. Sisters also have a really good save, and a lot of Orc shooting is not quite as strong. In melee, they fuck shit up, but it was not that bad. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure this is going to make me wildly overconfident going into Orcs in the future. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. If you like these longer form battle reports, there is going to be a playlist that this is part of. And yeah, thanks for watching. And I feel like I should do an obligatory wah, but I'm in an apartment, I have thin walls, so wah. This is why I don't play Orcs.